On November 10th, several WWE wrestlers happened to be at Universal Studios, home of TNA's weekly Impact tapings, to film a commercial. TNA, as a publicity stunt labeled as a friendly greeting, had several TNA wrestlers bring the WWE wrestlers cookies and balloons. WWE is now threatening to sue TNA unless they agree to never air the footage and relinquish the footage.
That's rude of them. They were being very nice, welcoming them to their home arena.
Yeah, it's very kind of them. It's like, we are the holders of Universal Studios, and you were coming to visit to shoot your apparently obscenely expensive Royal Rumble commercial.
I'm sure when TNA runs MSG, WWE will send out the same bandwagon.
And I'm sure WWE have never done any kind of stunt where they sent wrestlers to another company's building and then cried foul when that company threatened legal action. That would never happen.
I'm pretty sure they did do that, and it ended the Monday Night Wars forever.
Yeah, so that's why WWE threatened legal action here, because they knew this instance would end them to forever.
Yeah. They knew that, like, oh my god, they worked out the strategy of how to win every single ratings war.
So WWE were there shooting the West Side Story Royal Rumble commercial. Randy Orton, Luther Reigns, Jesus, Jericho, Benoit were all there. They made a whole publicity stunt about it. WWE filed a formal letter of complaint with Universal Studios. A senior WWE official sent a production assistant to TNA Soundstage 21 and delivered a verbal warning that if any WWE wrestlers were filmed by TNA, we will sue your fucking ass.
That Royal Rumble commercial is so good.
Yeah, clearly TNA inspired them. They saw Abyss with his balloons, and they saw Tracy with her cookies, and they're like, we got to do the best commercial we've ever done in our lives.
They should do something more like that. They have all the money in the world. Just make like a full Marvel movie.
Because apparently, like, Dave estimates that commercial cost like $400,000 to $500,000, which is insane when you think about it. But also, you're a $1 billion company. Just do it for fun.
Yeah, especially now. Who do you think signed off on that one? Who had that idea? Do you think Vince just watched West Side Story and was like, wait a minute?
He's finally caught up to West Side Story in his watching of media. He's like 20, 30 years behind at all times.
Because, like, 2005 was like their, like, movie parody year. Because they did, like, all the Mania ones too.
The WrestleMania's going Hollywood stuff.
Yeah, so, like, end of 2004, did Vince finally discover movies?
Apparently. He's like, this newfangled technology they're showing. They have the trains coming toward the screen.
No, he's like, they're not in black and white and they don't have sound anymore.
Oh, they're even in color.
You can actually hear them. I don't know why Vince, in our impressions, is talking like a 1920s radio man.
TNA released a press release saying, in response to media reports about a misunderstanding that occurred at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida this past Wednesday, TNA Entertainment issued an apology to Vince McMahon and WWE for what was apparently mistakenly perceived as a hostile act. In the press release, Shane Douglas stated, I was disheartened. If our kind gesture was mistakenly perceived as threatening and hostile, we apologize. BG James said, personally, I just wanted some mahi-mahi. The only thing I had to eat that day was a stinking cold sandwich from my cheap freelance producer. Now, I know how the other half eats.
You were there in, like, all of the 90s. You know how they eat.
They have surprisingly good catering.
That's, like, the main takeaway that everyone has from their experience there.
The press release said the silent Abyss was seen with a tear in his eye, still clutching the very same balloons that no one from WWE wanted.
I love that they're, like, shitting on them in their own press release.
TNA concluded the press release. Some things in life are consistent. Success breeds envy. The bully always picks on the little guy. But we all know how the story of David and Goliath ends.
And isn't it crazy how now in 2022, Impact is the biggest company in the world? And WWE's dead.
It did end exactly as David versus Goliath, where Shark Boy shot like a slingshot into the eyes of the Big Show, and WWE fell forever.
Shark Boy sent an email to the press about Vince McMahon's sordid history, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, so when they got there, like David Sahadi was the person who found out they were there apparently, because obviously he has, I assume, connections still in the WWE production department at this stage. So he found out they were there, brought down some wrestlers to film this. When WWE threatened legal action, like they called up Bob Carter apparently, and he's like, "Nah, film, and I'll back you no matter what." Because there was a whole thing this month then where Mike Tenay and Don West stated that on commentary, it's like, WWE sent us a legal letter, and we have this footage we shot there, and now we're going to let you decide if we show it or not at Turning Point. So you go to the website and vote on whether or not we will show the Cookiegate footage. And they're like, WWE are like, no, don't show it, send us to us. And Bob Carter's just like, if they sue us, we have lawyers too.
That's big Tony Khan. I have a lot more money than Jim Crockett. The vibe there.
Bob. So they did eventually show it on the pay-per-view. It's like, when you see the footage, it does make WWE look exceptionally stupid because it's the most harmless thing in the world.
It's such an easy little prank.
It is like the ultimate of like, don't sell the rib. It's like, guys, you sold the rib as much as you could possibly sell the rib.
I'm reading like a bit more about like what went on, and I think like my favorite one there is that they saw that Vince was out there by himself.
Yeah,
and they were like, "Should we go like film something?" But they're all such cowards that they didn't.
Yeah, so like Vince was there, they saw him, they like huddled, and then they like apparently they did decide we should go film something, but then Vince never came back.
Oh, that would have been perfect. Imagine that world. In a just world, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall would have agreed to be a part of it instead of turning down the request, and Vince would have been there, and Nash would have gone up to Vince.
Yeah, because they did ask Hall and Nash to be in this one, but Hall and Nash were like, nah.
They want jobs still.
That is true. The two people that were shown, like you could make them out, there was Luther Reigns and there was Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio more obviously evident than Luther Reigns.
Ray didn't give a shit. He's like, they're not gonna fire me.
Yeah, even BG like makes a little quip. It's like, you're fired. And Ray just laughs and chuckles. Because like Conan's Ray's boy, so I'd imagine he's like coming out to chat with Conan.
Yeah, I think Conan probably just like texted him.
It's like, listen, we need someone out here to make us look cool, that we actually got somebody to show up. And this is Rey Mysterio's only TNA appearance. So there you go.
So, yeah, I think they kind of wanted like a confrontation, but like the guys that they ended up talking to are apparently like Jericho, Guerrero, Benoit, Mysterio, and they were just like friendly.
And like the only other people on camera were like production assistants. And Luther Reigns.
Luther Reigns.
Also his only TNA appearance, I believe.
This is fun. This is a fun segment.
Yeah, it's a good bit. It's good antics. I'm on board with it.
I love TNA as an antics promotion above all else.
And they did a bunch of skits on the pay-per-view where they had a fake Vince and a fake Triple H try to invade Turning Point to steal the tape back.
It's perfect.
The fake Vince played by Brian Welch, one of the office workers, and the fake Triple H played by Johnny Devine.
Yeah. So that's who it was. Big Johnny Devine. Who was Vince?
Brian Welch, an office worker.
He had great mannerisms.
I enjoyed Johnny Devine's Triple H as well. He had a better voice impression than the Vince.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I love that shit.
Do you think they walked around backstage being like, do a Triple H impression? Nah. Do a Triple H impression? Nah. Johnny Devine's like,
but I like to imagine once they were in costume, I hope they acted like Vince and Triple H the whole day.
Because yeah, they arrive at the show, they see Mikey Batts, Vince tries to fire Mikey Batts. Then they see a production assistant with a tape. He smashes the tape, and it turns out it's just the best of D-Ray 3000. This is a bunch of skits. It's good stuff. It's good, again, good antics. Well done, TNA.
I like to imagine everyone's seen this at this point, but maybe it is a little gem.
Yeah, because like it's on one of the early pay-per-views as well. It's not like Spike era, so I think a lot of the stuff pre-Spike is stuff that just flies under the radar, and people forget about this kind of stuff.
I've seen this because it was on like the 50 Best TNA Moments DVD.
Yeah, with your Toby Keith moments and your Tennessee Titan moments. Remember the Titans?
I do. I remember those Titans.
I don't. I haven't seen the movie.
Hey Garrett, when we're just to remind everyone when they are playing Pokemon, you know, and they're doing their gym leader challenges and they're running around and they're doing the Team Star stuff, that they also have to remember the Titans.
Ah, yes, it's very important.